Welcome to Being Me. I'm Ruthie Tessler, one of the Being Me Teen Mind Matters podcast hosts, and I'm here with my co-host, Juan Bendana. How's it going, Juan?
Hey, Ruthie, doing good. Excited to be here and excited to get your hot takes on today's topics.
Awesome, then let's dive in.
So first things first, I know in the last episode we talked about all things prom, and you had your high school prom a few weeks ago. Give us like the good, the bad, and the ugly. What was great? What was amazing? Was it like watching High School Musical in real time? Give us the summary.
All of prom was amazing. I had a great night, but it wasn't so movie-like. Right before prom, right before I left my house, I took my best friend Josh as my date. And I was like, we were leaving my house to go take pictures at my friend's house. And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot something outside. So I go and I pick up this really heavy bag from outside and I'm in my really high heels. And I look up at Josh and I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done. Meanwhile, in my heels, picking up this 40, 50-pound bag. And as I'm saying, this is so stupid, I just wipe out in my heels. And still 3 weeks later, my foot is bothering me. And I had to change my shoes. I was like, I can't walk in these anymore. And I would say that was like my biggest hiccup of the night. I was like freaking out and I didn't know what to do. And then it was a miracle that I was fine pain-wise all night. The prom itself was kind of short and it was enjoyable, but it was short. And we were kind of just all really excited because we got a party bus afterwards. Because my school's pretty big and my program within the school, I'm in the IB program, we only really know each other because we only have classes with each other. So we were really excited to do something with a smaller group. So we got a party bus and we went to the after party and that was very fun. I put on boots for the after party and my foot, it was a miracle that I was okay because the next morning I woke up and I couldn't walk. And I was like, thank God this didn't kick in last night because it would have ruined my night. So
that's crazy.
I mean, still haven't fully recovered, but very grateful for anything that happened that night. It was a very fun night.
Wow.
But, yeah. Quite hectic.
That is good. Good to hear you made it out in one piece.
Okay. I want to know what we have been listening to recently.
So a little mix of everything. Weirdly enough, if you listened to the pod before, you know, I randomly was listening to country. I feel like there's a lot of artists that are just transitioning into country and doing more country and really seeing like, oh, this is a massive space. So I'm going to like, you're seeing these collabs with Morgan Wallen and Post Malone and Beyonce having her album and that new viral country song by that rapper that is like going crazy right now. So I'd say country has been the thing I've been listening to most. What about you?
Well, Billie Eilish's new album dropped 3 days ago. And as I'm not really the biggest Billie Eilish fan, usually this was an insane album. And I did like her before. Like I never had an issue with her. I listened to some of her music, but her new album is just like amazing. And so that's been on repeat. I'm just trying to learn the whole thing, but
Of course.
It hasn't been like I can't get enough of it, but it's more like I want to learn these songs. So that's been my last few days of music.
Awesome.
Our podcast today is about graduation. We're going to dive into this more in a minute, but we asked our teen advisory board members what prom related questions they had, and some of them had questions for us. Are you ready for some hot takes?
Let's go.
Okay, first off, David from Sacramento wants to know, what if I go to college and can't do it? What if I'm not good enough to compete with everyone else?
Great question, David from Sacramento. I think the important thing to remember heading into college is that you aren't necessarily in a competition. Competition seeds the fact that you're comparing yourself to other people. You're comparing yourself to everyone. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is you a few months ago, is you a few weeks ago. If you're getting better, that's all that matters. So often people focus and overemphasize on comparing and competing as opposed to growing and learning how they can get better. and how they can grow and how they can improve. So I think the best thing to ease the feeling of I'm not good enough is get good at being you, get good at what you're studying, get good at life, get good at being a human being and whatever that means for you. Build great habits, build the great person that you are becoming, because that is a process. And don't compare yourself to everyone else. Compare yourself to you.
I've seen a lot of people my age, like people going through the college process, getting into Ivies, getting into schools like Vanderbilt, Duke, even UF, which was very selective this year. All these people were big fish at my high school, like top of the class, who are the ones that stood out and competed for the top of the class in high school to get into these amazing schools. But then you go to these amazing schools and you're surrounded by people who did the same, if not more than you in high school. I think you just really have to remember you all got into the same place. It's not a competition anymore because you and all of your friends are not looking for the same things career-wise. So you're not in the same applicant pool for anything anymore. I want to be a vet, so I'm trying to go to vet school after college. I'm going to know very few people who are applying to the same schools as me, very few people to compete with. The competition is purely superficial now. It's just to feel better than everyone else, which is not so important. You just have to be sure of yourself and remember, keep reminding yourself, we all got into the same school. We all got in this college, and this college thinks we're good enough to be at this college. So I need to start thinking that way too.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
The second question is not much of a question, but Sahil from Wisconsin is expressing that he's anxious about leaving home and not having his parents and friends around. He wants to talk about it with his friends, but he's afraid that they'll think that he's lame and weak. He knows they're freaking out too, but no one wants to talk about it. And he's wondering what to do.
Zahil, the ultimate vulnerability, the ultimate superpower is going first. And what I mean by that is that everyone is thinking the exact same thing. Everyone is afraid and anxious of leaving home. So if you can be the first one, and it takes a ton of courage and it takes a few deep breaths and a lot of just, I don't know how this is going to go, and just sharing with your friends and your family, hey, listen, I'm kind of nervous about this next chapter. I'm nervous about this next phase. Because like you said, the majority of them are probably thinking the same thing. And by you dropping your guard, it gives everyone else permission to do the same. I think too often people are kind of wearing a filter on their lives and how they show up and feel like they need to have it all together. So I think just share, be vulnerable, just share where you're at. And if people think you're lame or weak or whatever it is, that's probably just a reaction to what you're saying. And that probably means that they're afraid and they're anxious too. So I think you just share with them, tell people where you're at, find the support there, and understand it's completely normal to feel anxious about such a massive shift and change.
I hate to do this, but I'm going to press the hot take button.
Hot take.
I like to bring gender into everything, and I'm going to go out and say that it is very important for men to talk about things more, because I'm just getting this from Sahil and from my experience where my friends have been nonstop talking about how scared we are and how much we're going to miss each other and how sad we are for high school to end, even though we're so excited to embark on this next chapter of our lives. We've been nonstop like crying to each other about how much we're going to miss each other. I think that's important for guys to do too. So yeah, I think just it's 2024. Let's normalize that.
Guys do it in a little bit of a different way, where sometimes it's cool to say, and you don't need to like it, you don't need cry to your friends. You don't need to bawl your eyes out and watch rom-coms and eat ice cream. Maybe like Ruthie has some personal experience with that strategy, but you don't need to do that. See, like vulnerability and sharing where you're at is different for everyone, especially for guys where you feel like you have this facade and this brand that you need to put on. You can literally just say, hey guys, I'm having a hard time with this. I'm really struggling here. I'm real nervous. Do you have any tips? You can do it in a way that feels more authentic to you. But if you want to cry and watch The Notebook, more power to you, everyone listening. So with that being said, let's move right along in to the main event for the evening. What if they're watching this in the morning? I have no idea. Pretend like it's the evening. Oh my gosh, I graduated. Now what do I do? We're talking all things graduation. So Ruthie, from your point of view, from graduating high school in literally a couple of weeks, I'm pretty sure your last day is in 7 days, or no, it's next Friday, right?
Yes, next Friday.
So how are you feeling about having days left of the last 4 years of your life?
It's definitely very bittersweet for me. I have been so excited for college for the longest time, but now that it's actually creeping up on me, I'm getting pretty emotional, as I was just saying, about leaving my hometown and leaving all of my friends. We live in such a different world where I can talk to everyone all the time. It just kind of sucks that I feel like I won't. It's kind of hard to stay in touch with a lot of people. I know there are a few people that I'm definitely going to never lose contact with, but there are so many people. I'm looking around my high school and thinking, wow, I'm never going to talk to them again. And that's kind of sad. I liked having them in my day-to-day life. So it's just, this is like an interesting feeling. And I'm also so excited to make these new friends. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. And I kind of can't believe it hasn't hit me so much yet. But I am very excited and I'm ready. I don't think that it should be any longer. Like, I don't want to drag it out. It just is still a little sad.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you even sharing that, I think, highlights the point that it is completely normal to feel sad and anxious and worried and bittersweet and all of those things, because sometimes when graduation rolls around, you're like, I should feel excited. This should feel like a massive win. I should feel enthusiastic. Why do I feel sad? And then you feel guilty for feeling sad because you're like, this is a massive milestone. What the heck is going on? And it's okay to feel it all, is the thing to remember. And I think if you're heading to college, I think using the summer to start thinking about your goals, not only for your life, but for the college experience, because I think there's something that is in finding a fresh start. You know how people have like beginning of the year, new me, people have a birthday. There's all these like fresh start moments where you kind of can reinvent yourself. It's literally, in psychology, it's called the fresh start theory. I think the summer before college is the best opportunity in life for that. So if you're feeling nervous or anxious about that, that's normal. But I'll kick it over to you, Ruthie, and ask, what are the things that you're thinking about? Because I think a lot of people listening are probably like, Ruthie is literal goals. That's the kind of person that I want to be. Like, she is handling, even though she got out in that senior game, whatever that's called, and she got killed in the game. That's totally fine. And we won't bring that up again. Weird. But she is the like epitome of someone that is like going through it and growing through it. So what are your goals over the summer, and how are you thinking about sort of setting your sights on college? What are the new goals that you're setting for the future? How are you thinking about all of that?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm literal goals like you said I just was.
Read the comments, Ruthie. Read the comments.
Okay, I should do that. This summer, I have a lot of fun things coming up that I'm very excited about. And I am really taking this time. Honestly, I want to sound like I'm being deeper than I am, but like, I'm just trying to have a great time this summer because school starts and I'm going to be in a hard major. It's going to be tough. I'm going to a fun school, so I'm not saying that I'm not going to have fun, but I want to have a great summer so I can go into school being confident, tan, just having this overall like glow to me because I just had a great summer. And that's just a great way to go in and make friends. And if you're feeling great about yourself going into school, I think you'll do better socially. Also, I'm trying to get rid of the 4 years of brain fog I've built up from high school because currently I'm feeling so burnt out and I need to shake that off before I go to college. And I do think like fresh start theory, like it's possible I'm not going to go into college still burnt out. I think there is a sort of reset that happens when you go from high school to college. The senioritis goes away because you're a freshman again. You're excited and you're like eager about all your classes and you're actually interested in your classes. Whereas 7 out of the 8 classes that I had this year were picked for me. I had no say in what I was learning and I didn't enjoy any of my classes. now I get to choose all my classes. Now I'm actually working towards a degree in something I'm interested in, like with an end goal of if I do well now, I get into grad school. So I think that there is going to be a major reset. As I was reading this question, I did think about how I want to get back into journaling because I've been on and off journaling for years and I love reading back on it. And I haven't done it in a few months. And I know there was one summer where I wrote every day and I read it back a year later and it was just like the most amazing thing to read back on. So I definitely want to go in to college writing, even if it's like a few sentences, writing every day just to like have a memory of college. And I'm going to start that actually this summer because I'm going to have a fun summer and I want to write about it.
That's awesome. And I think to your point, I wholeheartedly believe that you are going to crush the burnout and you're going to be feeling energized and ready to go heading into college. I think there's also things to think about as you head into freshman year, like the fact that you can have the relationships that you have right now and carry those forward and have those conversations and talk to your friends and parents and mentors and even BeMe coaches and people in your life that can support you. And even if, I think this is important to note, that even if you're not college bound, that's totally okay. If you're going to take a gap year, if you're going to go join the workforce, if you're going to figure out what you want to do with your life, that is totally okay because there's this expectation that we need to have everything figured out. No one has everything figured out at all. So everyone is a work in progress and is just trial and erroring their way through life. And I think it's important to remind people that like, hey, it's okay if you don't have everything together. The average college student changes their major 4 times. The average. So it's okay if it feels like a little bit of chaos, but I think it's like, what are you looking forward to and what can you move towards with excitement? So I'll ask you, Ruthie, and then you can take things home. What is the thing that you are most excited about over summer? What's the thing that you are looking forward to the most about summer?
Wow. I'm going to be away for a good amount of the summer. I haven't planned out everything yet. So my most exciting concrete plan would be I'm going to New York with my best friends from high school and we're going to see a music festival. So that's going to be really exciting. Honestly, more so because I'm able to experience this city with my favorite people. And it's going to be like a great way to say bye to them because none of them are staying anywhere near me. So our visits are going to be few and far between. And I'm just really excited to have this amazing memory with them.
I love that.
And the whole not being college bound is so okay. I know so many people taking gap years or even like joining the army or just staying home to work because their family has a business at home. I have cousins who went to the Air Force Academy and then dropped out of the Air Force Academy to be a fisherman in Panama. That's just what they do now. And they have zero regrets about it. And I feel like everyone has a different path. Everyone knows what they want. And if college isn't an essential part of your path or something that you think will be a really amazing learning experience, you can totally skip it. Or if you go to college and you feel like, hey, maybe this isn't for me after your first year, you could either go to a different school or leave altogether and still be very successful. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. He dropped out of college, right?
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
With that being said, I would like to say that if you are still feeling unsure after listening to this podcast, there are many more tips from Juan and other BeMe coaches on the BeMe app, which you can download for free on the App Store and on Google Play. And this has been an awesome conversation. Thank you, Juan.
Agreed. Until next time, this is Juan Bendana, my co-host Ruthie Tessler, and our amazing podcast producer, Derek Baird, reminding you to keep being you.
Teen Mind Matters is a BeMe podcast and a BeMe Studios production for BeMe Health.